a Trooper Cody and Steve video, but as you can see, Trooper Cody's AWOL. What we've got here is a different recruit this time. This is our beautiful Shetland Cameo. Cameo's come to help me with a video about a pony that was born in a property called Strzelecki in Gippsland in Victoria in the 1890s, and she was deemed to be a pit pony. She was about 10.5 hands high, which is about the size of Cameo, and she went off at 2.5, at a tender age of 2.5. She went off to a coal mine and became a pit pony. Now you see some pretty shocking photographs of pit ponies and the conditions they worked in. What you got to remember is blokes worked in those conditions too. The wet, the damp, the heat of underground, the shocking coal dust, and of course it was those grassroots workers were in pretty diabolical conditions. But didn't mean those blokes didn't love their pit ponies. And in some mines, especially in the UK, a guy was responsible for his pit pony to the point where he took it home at night and kept it and then brought it back to the mine the next day. So the pit pony that I'm going to tell you about, born in the 1890s, worked in the coal mines for 20 years. 20 years. But again, so did blokes. Blokes worked in those mines day in, day out for 20 years. The thing about this particular black pony was that she had a wonderful disposition, just like Cameo here. And she was loved by the miners. And she could do tricks. And one of the tricks was that if you said the word kiss, she would give you a kiss. Or if you offered her a bit of your lunch, she would give you a kiss. And so that pit pony became known as Kiss Lass. That was her name, Kiss Lass. So after 20 years of faithful service in the pits, she was injured to the extent where she lost an eye. The vet said she needed at least 6 months recuperation. And normally what would happen, sadly, in that era, about the turn of 1900, what would have happened is the animal would have been put down because it couldn't work anymore, and nobody was in a position to pay to keep it when it couldn't work. But everybody loved Kiss Lass so much, the mine manager decided that he would look after it until Kiss Lass was fit enough to come back as a sort of a mentor to new pit ponies. She could be there to keep them calm, help in the training of pit ponies. So that was good. But then World War I broke out. When World War I broke out, the pit manager's wife became very much involved in the Purple Poppy, the Purple Hospital, the care and welfare of horses in war. She and some of her friends became very involved in that, to the extent they did such a good job in Victoria that it's molting, it's spring. Such a good job, they actually got a letter from the French government thanking them for their support on the Western Front for animals, bandages, medicine. So the manager's wife then had a great idea. Let's use Kiss Lass, who had been bandaged from her injuries, lost an eye, bandaged on the eye. Let's use her as a mascot for the Purple Cross. Seemed like a good idea. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to take her to Melbourne and have her stand around with collection tins for people to make donations. The response to this defies belief, in that politicians, newspapers, mayors of the various cities, important people in the Victorian Railway came on board this so significantly. Kiss Lass was issued with a special pass that allowed her free travel on any train in Victoria. The Mayor of Melbourne issued her a special pass that she could stand in any public spot in the city of Melbourne when she was gathering donations. Other mayors from other towns came on board, Ballarat, Bendigo. She travelled by train to various cities. The Commonwealth Bank came on board saying that your donation tins can be taken to any of our banks at the end of the day, and we will count the money and store the money, look after the money for you. So it became an enormous money spinner, and huge sums of money were donated because of Kiss Lass's endeavours, she just went and stood on the streets, never made a fuss, let people come up, pet her, and she raised a lot of money. When you're doing something in the media, even if it's in World War I, you want to come up with something new, so they decided, how about we try and raise, she weighed 250 pounds, this is kilos, she weighed 250 pounds, and so the idea was, hey, let's see if we can collect enough coins to outweigh her. That was achieved in no time. To give you an idea, in the first 2 weeks that she was in Melbourne, she raised over 500 pounds. We're talking early in the First World War. Over 500 pounds sterling were donated, this bought fly veils, ointments, bandages, all for horses, all for the animals of war. Hugely successful little pony. Okay, so don't want to go on too long about all of the achievements of this amazing little pony, Kiss Lass, but after going with the campaign of let's get more coins than she weighs of 250 pounds, when that was accomplished, the next thing was they had professional photographs taken of her, and this was made into a postcard, and you could buy one of these postcards, and the profits from the postcards of Kiss Lass then went to the same animal fund. The very first shipment that was sent as a result of Kiss Lass fundraising, there were 32,000 equine bandages alone went in the first shipment. So when they considered that old Kiss Lass had done her duty, the Victorian government then awarded her a pension. This was money that was paid to ensure that she would live out the rest of her life without ever having to work, without fear of being put down because people couldn't afford to look after her. So she lived out her life until when she was the equivalent of about 85, which is a pretty good innings, getting on towards 30, which is about 85 human years. She was finally put down due to old age. A war horse? Of course, Kiss Lass was a war horse. She was a war horse, a heroic war horse that did her duty for country and her comrades. Cheers, cobbers. Sweetheart, isn't she? Let's see if we can get a look at her face just as we finish off. Do you want to say goodbye, sweetheart? Do you want to say goodbye? Say goodbye to everyone. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to them. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. That's my princess. Isn't she gorgeous? Every horse on this property is damn gorgeous, I tell you.